G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of his UFC debut this weekend, I'm talking to Mr. Cody Haddon. Cody, thank you very much for the time. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm very happy to be speaking to you, and I thank you for coming on the show, especially during the debut week. How does it feel to hear those words, debut?
Yeah, it just feels like, man, it feels like yesterday I was here for the Contender Series. I'm wearing the same shirt that I did all my interviews in last night. So it's like it just feels like I never left, really. Yeah, I'm getting used to it now. I mean, I've been here three times in the last, what was it, like 4 months? So it's just, yeah, same hotel, similar sort of schedule every time. Like the time zone just feels normal, man. Feels yeah, like it just is just another day, in the office. So yeah.
You mentioned that there. I haven't spoken to you since prior to the Contender Series fight. So it's a weird feeling of like congratulations, but you are in camp for another fight. So I don't really know kind of how to talk about it.
Oh,
Ha
it's just all been a whirlwind. Yeah. Yeah, it's all just been a huge like I just yeah, a roller coaster of emotions, but at the same time just um yeah, I haven't really been thinking about what I did in the Contender Series or what's ahead. Just feel very present, man. Like with so much going on, I feel like I haven't been able to really take like because it's all been so quick. I just fought like 6 weeks ago or whatever, then straight back into another camp, and then like back home I was moving house and I had all this shit on. So it was kind of good. It gets your mind off the fight a little bit. I just feel present and yeah, just ready to go in there and do my thing, I guess. So yeah.
how did this quick turnaround come to be? How did you get approached with this fight?
So after the Contender Series fight, like my missus came over with me. So after that, we went like we spent like 2 days here in Vegas and then just chilling out. And then we went over to Orlando, Florida. We went to the theme parks and stuff. So um, we spent about 7 days there. And I think it was like the second last day. Jazz, my manager, she called me and she was like, "Hey, like I got some big news. Like I'll talk about it with you tonight." Um, and I was like, okay. And then later on, she called me and she was like, it was like it was like probably like 8 p.m., like or 9 p.m. when we were in the hotel room. And she was like, look, so I know you wanted to fight in November because that's what we told the UFC, but they've offered you a fight in like 7 weeks' time. Like, do you want it? Or six, whatever it was, 6 weeks' time, or yeah, I think seven. Do you want it? And then I was like, shit, really that quickly? And I was like, fuck. And I was obviously in holiday mode, so I'm like out enjoying myself, not like I don't drink or party or nothing like that, but just, enjoying the theme parks and just my mind, like take my mind off fighting a little bit for a bit. Um, and like, enjoying some food and shit. And then yeah, she was like, this fight. And I was like, fuck. And then I was just thinking like I had to move house back at home when I get back, and I had to find a property somewhere to live because we were getting kicked out of our not kicked out, but we had to leave our other rental because the owners were moving back in. So I had a bunch of shit at home that I needed to take care of. Then I was like, right, let me think about it. And like this was just like without even knowing the opponent or anything like that. I was just like, let me think about it, and then went to sleep, slept on it, woke up in the morning, called a few people. I was like, do you reckon it's like possible or too soon or should I? And they're like, yeah, I reckon you could do it. And then I was like, all right, sweet. So I called it back and I was like, yeah, let's do it, whatever. I mean, I'm fit, I'm healthy. I mean, I just come off a fight, didn't take, any damage. I'm pretty fresh, body's pretty good. So we're fit. Let's go with it. And then yeah, he just got back to Perth, got straight back to work. There was no like time to really celebrate the win of the Contender Series. It was just literally like that next day when I got back, it was straight back in the gym and just got straight back to work. So um yeah, I guess here we are.
You touched on it there. As you said, you were kind of in holiday mode. You're enjoying
Mm,
you're enjoying being overseas with your partner. Has
yeah.
that been, is it mentally difficult to kind of lock back in after you've just had the biggest fight of your career?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's mentally difficult for sure. Especially especially like getting a fight so soon after your first one. It was more difficult then. Now it feels like normal, obviously. But yeah, it was like more like, when I get a fight, I'm never worried about the fight. I'm always worried about, I'm like, fuck, gotta go through all that bullshit in training again because we get pushed so hard in the gym, it's fucking ridiculous. So I was like, ah. I just mentally didn't know if I was ready for that at the time. I was like, man, like all of that trash again. It's the camp, bro. The camp is like that's the hardest part for me is like just the camp. You just push in and you next day and just constantly and you're tired and you're sore and you just got to keep pushing and that's the hard part. The fight is like whatever, it is what it is. The fight's hard too, obviously, but the hardest part is the camp. That's what that's what I get worried about, is like, fuck that, the camp itself. And I'm always training, I'm always fit as is. But, when you go into camp, it's like, shit hits the fan. We do things properly. So, we really push hard to the point of breaking. And that's the hard part for me. So now that that's all done, I feel relief. I'm like, sweet. Now time for the fucking fun part. Go in there, do my thing, and then come home and hopefully enjoy the rest of the year. Like celebrate the two fucking wins. The contender series and then the UFC debut successfully. So that's the plan. That's what's in my head. So you can't wait.
You kind of did touch on it there, but did you get that opportunity to kind of have that full camp?
You mean like after the fight, like after the last one?
Yeah, like coming into this one, have you had a full camp?
Well, yeah, not well, I'd normally have a longer camp because I think I fought like 6 weeks ago. So I pretty much did my camp for the last fight for that was a real long one because I was preparing for a fight on Beatdown Promotions. And then pretty much I found out about the Contender Series fight. And then that was like 5 or 6 weeks after the beatdown fight. So I was already in like a 10-week camp for that. And then doing another extra 15, 16 or whatever it was, doing an extra like 5 or 6 weeks after that. So it ended up being like a huge 17-week camp. Then obviously fight week, chill out a little bit, and then fight. And then I think I had like 5 days off. Or 6 days off over in actually yeah 5 days 5 or 6 days off when I went to Orlando. I still lifted weights and ran on the treadmill every day. Like I still made sure because I like to do that anyway. I never let myself like I always want to be like within like if they call me up I can make bantamweight. So I never let myself like blow up, after fights. I always rein it in. Yeah, I'll go out and like eat some good food, but then I always make sure I'm like, burning some energy too, so I'm not like putting on body fat so that I'm ready for fight. So then after that, I had like yeah, six weeks to pretty much start training again for a fight. So it's like just got straight back into camp. So I didn't need a camp to get fit. I was already fit coming off a fight. So all we've done is like pretty much continued like camp as per usual. Like I was already in camp. I just had 5 days off after the fight, I guess, and then when I got back to Perth, it was straight into it like usual. So, um, kind of yeah, it's kind of just been one long fucking camp, I guess. There's been no downtime at all. So, I'm super fit and ready to go. That's for sure.
I'm not sure if you would remember this at all. The first question I ever asked you was at the press conference for Raja Shippen fight. And I asked you, do you think you'll ever have shorter camps? And you were like, no, not at all. And evidently you've lived up to that.
Yeah. Well, this one was unintentional because it's like I just fought and then they offered me another fight and I'm like, how long are we? Oh, 6 weeks away. It's like, oh shit. So it's like, yes, it's been a short camp, but considering what I did before that to get to like a lot of people need these camps, I feel, to get in shape, get fit, shit like that. I never want to be one of those people. I'm fit year round. Like, I'm always training, I'm always fit. So at the start of the camp, I'm already pretty fit, like going in there, and I guess the camp is to just like push you that little bit more, to like really break you that bit more, and take you to like those dark places, I guess, a little bit more than usual. And then you've got like the stress of the fight as well. That changes things too in the camp. It's like you go home, you're still thinking about the fight, you're thinking about things. So the mental stress of that as well is a thing that also um gets you ready for a fight, you know. So it's not just like you go to the gym and train and go home and forget about training. It's like you know, you're going home and you're still thinking about what you got to do and your job and your opponent, this and that. So um yeah, I guess camp's a bit harder because of that, you know. So I train all year round, but the camp is, you know, time to like really, really push the boundaries. So yeah, it's been long, but I feel good and I'm fit, ready to go, man. So I'm just excited. I just feel like I'm where I belong now. Like fighting on the regional scene is nearly more scary than fighting in the UFC. On the regional scene, is like if you lose, you're at the back of the queue. And you know, from there, it's like shit. You're gonna have to go on a 3-4 fight win streak to even consider getting a call up or something like that. But you know, I've proved myself on the regional scene time and time again, and then also proven myself in the contender series, and I've earned that contract. You know, it hasn't been given to me. I literally proved myself on the platform and earned myself a contract. And now I'm here. I'm like, I feel like, that's, you know, it feels like a relief for me, you know, and I can now do my thing a bit freer. You know, I'm not attached to anything now. I feel like I am where I need to be. And it's just my time now, you know. So everyone has their time or their moment when they're hot, you know. You got guys like, you know, Alex Ferreira and stuff like that. That's just everyone's been saying it. It's just his time and he's just smashing these guys, and I feel like it now my time has come too. So yeah, it just feels very natural for me. And really like what I've always thought up here is now in front of me and I'm living it. So that's very reassuring, you know. So even when you say like your UFC debut, I'm like, oh shit, it is my UFC debut, yeah. And it's just accepting that and like I guess being comfortable with that and like I'm not starstruck to be here. I'm not like, oh shit, you know, I'm just like, cool, yeah, it's where I need to be. It's where I've always wanted to be. So yeah.
You kind of you mentioned it there, but it's a very interesting point. If you could, I'd like to hear more of your thoughts on it. That kind of sense of relief of making it to the UFC. Does this feel like there's less pressure on it than the Dana White's Contender Series fight?
Yeah, way more. Way less. Sorry, not way more fun. Way less pressure. Yeah, so I feel way more comfortable now because I'm like, yeah, there is less like, you know what I mean? There is touch wood, you know, I'm not gonna lose. But you know, if it was to happen, it's not the end of the line either, you know. So yeah, I'm here to have a good time and we'll see what happens on the night. But, you know, I'm in the best shape and condition possible. I've done everything I can do in the camp, and now it's just time to walk out there and do my thing. And yeah, I feel less pressure because of that. I still respect my opponent. I regard him very highly. I always do respect all my opponents, and I know that they all pose a threat in their own right. Um, so yeah, I'm just keen to go in there and just have a good fight, have a good scrap like always, you know. So yeah.
When I asked you about how this fight came to be, you talked about you called some few people, you got some opinions. What was your coach's thoughts?
Oh well, they were just super keen. So like Jazz and Ramel already knew about it. He was just like, yeah, like let's do it, you know. So him and Jazz are already like keen. So I just they were like, yeah, we're keen as like we reckon you can smash it, like go do it. And I was all right. And then I was just, yeah, spoke to a few other, I was worried about other things like, one, fighting so soon, you know, going through another camp so soon. That was my biggest worry, I guess, not the fight, just the camp, you know. So whether the body will hold up for another however long, you know, pushing to that degree. Um, that's what I was worried about. And then also knowing that I needed to move house, that was also an issue. I needed to make sure that I could find a rental and actually be able to move during the camp and have like help to move and stuff like that. So I knew that I would have missed a few training sessions doing that sort of stuff. So I just had to kind of like weigh up all of that. And once I kind of accepted, yeah, it's going to be shit. moving house and trying to prepare for the fight. It's like probably the worst case scenario, but I was just like, fuck it, whatever, you know. Um, Everyone believes in me and believes that I can get it done. So that's reinforcing for myself too. And then I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. So called a few people and I was like, you reckon it's possible? And then they were like, yeah, I reckon you could do it. And then I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. And that was it. Yeah.
How did the move go? Is it all sorted?
Yeah, it's all sorted now. It's just annoying, like we only moved across the street, so we were very lucky actually. When we were looking for another rental, the real estate were like, "Oh, we've actually got a rental that's available going on the market like in a couple weeks across the road. Like, would you guys be keen there?" And we're like, "Yeah, 100%." So we just moved across the road, but it's like when we got in the new house, there's a bunch of things that weren't working, like the dishwasher and just a few fucking had to get a few plumber mates out and a few like tradies out to set a few things up and stuff like that. And obviously that all that stuff's very time consuming. It's like I have to be there too, And so it's all good now. It's all sorted now. But yeah, it's just moving's just a bit of a stressful time. So yeah.
Well, good. I'm very glad to hear that it's all sorted now. Bit of a
Yeah,
headache, but I'm
yeah.
glad it's all done. I'm very happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You talked
yeah.
about how highly you regard your opponent. He's a man who has had 5 UFC fights. The last three have been a bit weird. Two no contests and a loss. But still, that's in comparison. He's a veteran of the UFC of this stage. Uh, what does it say about you that they're putting you up against a guy who's had so many UFC fights?
I don't really know, man. Like I guess you'd have to ask them that. It's just I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I don't know. Maybe they just want to push me. They like what they saw and they want to see what I'm made of. And obviously, the Contender Series is not the UFC. It's under the same company, but it's the level is obviously much higher in the UFC. Yes, you get some incredible talent coming from the Contender Series, and then they go on to the UFC. But the UFC is a different animal. So I think they just want to see what I'm made of. I mean, they only got to see me fight for like I don't even know, like was one round. They probably just want to see a bit more, and they must like me or think I'm exciting, so they want to push me. So yeah, I'm ready for it. Fucking train my whole life for this shit. So I want to be in there, like I want to be in the deep end. So I want to actually see like yeah, how good am I? So let's see what I can do. Test myself. So yeah, they came to me with that fight, and then yeah, there was no hesitation. It's like I'll fight anyone really in the UFC. It's like that's what I'm here for. Like like trained my whole life to be the best in the world. Why would I say no to someone? It's like if he's good, that's great. Let's see if I can beat him. So yeah.
You mentioned maybe they want to see more from you. You're a man with 100% finish rate. Lots of those finishes coming in the first round. Do you think they will be seeing any more of you, or are you predicting another early stoppage?
I like all the interviews, man, like even the last fight, like I said, yeah, it's gonna be a tough fight. It's gonna be a war. This fight's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a war. The guy's very tough, comes forward, wrestles really well, strong as fuck from the looks of things. He'll be in my face. He's a gamer. He's fit as fuck too. He won't gas. He won't slow down. It's going to be a hard fight. I always say that, like, because I all my opponents I do watch and I do respect, and they all pose their own threat, and that's his threat coming into this fight. Yeah, he's very seasoned. He's had a lot of experience. Um, but yeah, I've been in wars and I always prepare for a war. I never think I'm just going to steamroll anyone. I feel like prepare for the worst, and then if the best thing happens, it's like cool. So I never look at like, oh, I'm the worst thing I would hate to be. I'd hate to be in a fight and then go, fuck, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. In my head, I've already prepared for this is going to be the hardest thing ever, and you're going to be fucked up, and I'm preparing for that. And then when it doesn't go like that, when I get out there and I finish people real quickly, I'm like super excited. And I'm like, shit, that was easier than I thought. I'd rather it be that way. So I prepare for the worst outcome. You know what I mean? That's like, and I'm going in there okay with that. Like willing to be fucked up in the hospital after this fight to win, and I'll happily be there doing that, So I accept that sort of shit. Then I go in, and I feel like someone like that's dangerous because they are willing to die in there, and I really am, So yeah, I come to terms with that. Maybe that's why I get so stressed for like a fight, because I'm coming to terms with that type of shit. Um, yeah, that's just my mentality going in there. It's always kill or be killed, So yeah.
Do you do envisioning for fights? You talked about envisioning yourself making the UFC, and this is kind of everything you've envisioned into reality. Do you do envisioning for fights as like specifically?
I do it unintentionally. So I don't actually sit down and go, right, I'm gonna envision I'm doing this and that. I'll just be sitting there and I just sometimes things just pop into my head and I'll just see myself in the octagon or somewhere and like getting my hand raised or someone drop like like Instagram photos where like there might be a photo capturing a moment of someone landing a shot and someone like falling. Like sometimes I'll just be like going about my day and I just get these like pictures that pop up in my head and it might be of me and someone else like falling down or something like that. And I guess that and I kind of think about that and I guess that's me unintentionally envisioning something, I guess, or maybe the universe is just telling me what I'm about to do. I would I would say it's more so the second one. The universe is just telling me what's about to happen because I believe in that type of shit. Um, but yeah, I don't intentionally envision stuff. It's more just like spur of the moment. Sometimes at night I'll just be going to sleep and I'll just start seeing things in my mind like a certain way. Um, or even like certain conversations that people are gonna be saying after my fight. They're gonna be like I'll be thinking like, oh, that person said that to me before it's happened type stuff. So I'll start thinking about that. Like yeah, like even like things like what I said to Dana after I won um in the cage. I'd already said to other people like once I win, I'm gonna go up to Dana and I'm gonna say this, this, and this. And then when I fought, I went and did that. So stuff like that, I guess I do, but I don't fully like just, all right, now's my visualization session, sit in the corner of the room and think about it. It's just I'm very much in my head all the time, as is. I'm a deep thinker. Um, and yeah, I think about these things, but I try not to also envision like I'm gonna do this and I do that and then he falls and then I go on top and da 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 and it's over and I win because that's kind of like game planning in a sense. And I don't really game plan because in a fight you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? I always take the path of least resistance to win, like try and get them out of there the easiest route that is. And I feel like if you have this specific picture in your mind of how you do that, then therefore you might fight a certain way to execute that. And what if that's not working? Can you adapt on the fly? So I like to just be adaptable in there, download the data as we're going, and then run with what's working and discard what's not. So yeah, I don't fully do the whole visualization thing completely, like maybe other people do sessions of it. I don't really do that. Yeah.
What did you say to Dana after the fight?
Just said to him, Dana, this is 20 years of work here. Like, let me show you what I can do in the UFC. And that was it. Yeah. In the cage, that's what I said to him.
You mentioned that you don't put too much stock into it because you don't want to game plan. However, when you have had those moments, do they come true? Have you had moments where you thought, I can picture myself this happening, and then it does?
Yeah, yeah, but it's never like exactly as I pictured it. It's kind of like similar, but never exactly as I pictured it. But I definitely like the last fight, for some reason I thought that like I was gonna land a cross and then like I just didn't think it's just I had like a little bit of visualization of like as if someone was filming from outside the cage and then it was of me like throwing a cross and the guy going down and then something happening from there. But it was actually the hook I got my guy with. So it's like similar, but it's never like bang on. You know what I mean? So it's not some sort of what do you call it? Like psychics type shit. It's just yeah, it's just like little like I just see like yeah, positive things of it, you know. But and then some fights I don't see anything or I don't even visualize anything happening. Like I have no idea. Like so when sometimes you ask me, I'm like, I don't really have any idea, you know, like there's been fights where I haven't had any inkling of how I'm gonna win, you know, and like that's okay. You don't need to know. That's what I always tell myself. Is like you don't need to know. You don't need to know what you're gonna do. You've trained your whole life. You'll get in there and you'll do it. You know when it's in front of you, you know, like and that's the level that's the just from level of repetition, repetition, repetition is like I really don't know how it's gonna go or what I'm gonna do. But most of the time I seem to just pull it off, right? So let's just run with that. Like, who cares? I don't need to know, you know. It's like I'll get in there and find a way, you know.
Is this one of those fights, or have you had?
Yeah, yeah, all of them are like that, really. Like sometimes I see little things, but most of the time, like, yeah, the last fight as well was like, yeah, I was picturing myself like winning and being a contracted fighter and all of that stuff. And yeah, and then but like yeah, it's like I didn't know how. I was like I said, I thought I was going to hit him with a right, but I hit him with a left, and then I choked him. It was like I didn't envision that, like doing that combination and choking him with that sequence. You know, it was just like something that happened, and yeah, this fight's the same. I don't really have an exact thing I think of like how I'm gonna win. Like, oh, I'm gonna land this and that. It just I don't really know, man. It's just like I guess you just have to tune in and see. It's like a lot. That's why I say like a lot of the time I shock myself too because I don't have any expectations when I go in there. It's just like I just go in there freely to fight, and if you know if something works, then cool, and that's pretty sick, you know. So that's always how I go into fights. Yeah, it's so unknown, man. Going into a fight, anything can happen. Um, and you just have to be, I guess, get comfortable with the unknown and just get out of your head because I feel like, you know, your mind will try to play tricks on you. Your mind will try to, your mind tries to doubt you, all this sort of shit. And you just got to get that in the back seat and just be present in the moment. And then, if you're present, you can react to things that happen in there. If you're not present, you can't react. And if you're thinking, it's too late. You got to be on autopilot in there and doing what you do best. And I just kind of run with that, you know, no expectations, no game plan, just another fight, and just, yeah, go in there with this bad intentions and looking to end it at any moment, you know. So that's always the plan.
For your last camp, I hadn't realized, but Mr. Daniel Minnie T. Williams had been coming into Luistro. He's now out of there. That's kind of his home base now. How is it to be training with him?
It's awesome, man. He's such high level Muay Thai. And he's a friend of mine also, and he's just an all round legend. Like he's a good dude, and training with him's always good, you know, especially those lighter guys is like they're a lot faster than those bigger guys. So it's like you really got to be like on your P's and Q's, you know, like sparring with bigger guys a lot of the times like I have a bit of a speed advantage, you know, which I like hone into. But you know, when the guys are your size are a bit smaller, especially him, he's quick. You know, it makes you have to be like really quick with your reactions too. You know, he throws a kick and it's got to be blocked nice and quick. So that really helped me for that last fight. Hence why we brought him in. You know, because the guy had great Muay Thai, and I know that like, well, if I can do like Muay Thai rounds with Mini T and you know hone my you know or MMA rounds and even stand up with him and bang a bit and I'm all right there, then I'm not worried about anyone I fight. The guy literally fought Rod Tang, so it's like and did well. So it's like, can I get much of a better Muay Thai training partner? No. So, you know, when I got in there with Billy, my last opponent, he threw a switch kick. I was like, oh, yep, seen that before. You know, so yeah, he really helped me a lot. And even his advice in the corner was like amazing. Also, he's been in there and done it all many times. So he's a real seasoned fighter and yeah, a good training partner as well to have in the gym. And yeah, no, it's wicked that he's helping us out, man. That's really good.
I last spoke to him ahead of his last one championship fight. He talked about he's at a point of his career where he's happy to work with these younger guys and kind of pass on some knowledge. Was there like one thing in particular that he's maybe told you or passed on to you that you value?
Yeah, more just the fact of like having him there and like just him in general, like and having his more so like reassurance. Like he's a very like his vice is just very reassuring, you know what I mean? Like he did a lot of study on my opponent and then he was just saying like a lot of the things that I already knew too, but he was like, oh, his head's right there, or, like he stands very upright, very Thai style, and then he was just saying that like when he moves his head, he just doesn't counter, he just uses it to be flashy and move off and stuff like that. So like more just having his wisdom there, that was good. But it's all the things that I already knew about my opponent, but and as well, but then having his like positive reinforcement and stuff was really good. And a lot of things like even when I was training, like hitting pads with my coach, he was just talking a little bit about like um kick retraction, like which I just had to be reminded on. It's like when you kick, make sure you bring it right back real quick. Like don't be kicking and then kind of bringing it back slowly, getting your shit together, like snap it and bring it right back, which is, he actually said, like your boxing, when I punch, I bring it right back to that hand placement position. But with the kicks, like yeah, I find myself sometimes like doing, so just little things like that, man, that like they go such a long way, especially at this level. It's like the one percenters that matter, right? It's like all that other shit doesn't really matter, but the one percenters are like the big things. And a couple of things he said like that really stuck with me. And then literally just having him there to like spar with me all the time was like amazing, and even this fight camp as well, we were doing some rounds together and stuff like that. Obviously my opponent's more of a grappler, so I was doing quite a bit more like grappling rounds, and having guys shooting on me nonstop, like my opponent's going to be. Well, from his from what I've seen recently, that's what he likes to do. I know he has been working on his boxing, so he's probably going to come out and throw some hands too. It is a fist fight at the end of the day, So I'll be prepared for that also. So yeah.
Talking about training with heavier guys and some of your teammates, your 100% finish rate stays intact. Quillan Salkeld, a teammate of yours who is now also joins the UFC, he went to decision. Do you hold that over him?
No, not really, man. Like I'm not competing with anyone. Like I run my own race, I always have. There's no two that are created equal, two athletes also aren't created equal. Um, like as in like everyone's past different, right? Like, sometimes things happen for a reason and like yeah, like it yeah, everyone's different. Like everyone's, doing it's not like he still won at the end of the day, so it's like he won as well. I never see it as like, oh yeah, but I finished my guy or something like that. It's like I'm not competing. It's like I really don't care. Like for me, it's our focus just on what I'm doing, you know what I mean? So I'm just happy for him that he got that W, you know what I mean? And happy that he like beat that guy and that it was a good fight, man. It was cool to see Quillen like, you got to see all his tools because the fight went on a bit longer. You got to see that Aussies can wrestle, and there's been a big stereotype, oh, Aussies don't have wrestling. It's like, bro, Aussies can wrestle, Aussies can grapple. Like if you go and have a look at any of these guys competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu, it's like there's some Australians that are doing really, really well. And obviously, yeah, we don't have like wrestlers in the Olympics winning gold medals, but in MMA, wrestling for MMA is different wrestling for wrestling, and we have enough of that the Aussies can wrestle. They've proven that time and time again. So you got to see Quillen wrestle in there as well against a guy who's a good wrestler, in the States too. So you got to see his kickboxing, you got to see his wrestling. So that was really cool. So yeah, I was just, if anything, I was a bit jealous that I didn't get to show all my skills. I was like, I didn't get to like fight for that long and show people like that all these things that I can do also, which I guess this fight probably gonna see that. You're probably gonna see me fight for a bit longer. And you're going to see all my skills that I'm able to bring out and show, that Australians can wrestle also, and Australians can grapple also. And remember, it's not a wrestling match. It's an MMA fight. There is submissions, there is a lot of other things than just wrestling, so you're gonna see a lot of different looks this fight, especially.
To have a teammate who is going through so similar things that you are, you guys making contender in the same season, you guys are both leveling up in your careers kind of around the same times. Is there this feeling of kind of us against the world?
Um, I guess so a little bit, yeah, but I think that's just a Perth thing, not like our gym or me and Quillen in general, but I think it's a Perth thing because like Perth is one of the, smaller cities in Australia, and WA is one of the, like population wise and stuff like that. So to have, and then yeah, being the most isolated, one of the most isolated cities in the world, to have anyone even go to an organization like the UFC is just phenomenal. People didn't really think it was possible until guys like Della did it, and then guys like Steve did it, and then it's like, holy fuck, this is all smoke and mirrors. We can do it too. And then now we're doing it. It's like people around me are like, how does it feel? I'm like, it's the same. I'm the same person. Nothing's changed. Like, yeah, it's a few people are watching my fights worldwide now, but it's the same shit, man. It's like this whole thing it's all smoke and mirrors. Like at the end of the day, it's just a different canvas. You can fight literally anywhere. It's just the fact that it's now we're fighting on that UFC canvas, like big deal. You know what I mean? It's smoke and mirrors, man. And like I just don't let it really like get to me. Like I'm just like it's just another fucking octagon. It's the same shit. Fight people every day of your life. What's the difference? This is just I guess this is just the higher level. This is the NBA of, basketball. This is like the UFC is the ultimate fucking fighting championship. It is in exactly that, those words, So um but at the end of the day it is still fighting, it's the same shit. So to have I think it's just more spectacular that people from Perth are showing it to other people that it is possible regardless of where you come from or your circumstances. I mean, last contender series, I think there was a guy who got on there. He's from the Congo, trains in the middle of fucking nowhere and has like no mats or nothing, and he's become this fucking star. I think he got a contract. And it's like, yeah, exactly that. Like where's MMA out in the Congo? There's probably nothing there. Yet this talent is talent, and talent doesn't discriminate. You can come from anywhere and be talented. You know what I mean? So yes, having the right coaching and having the right, training partners, that all helps. But talent is talent. If you put the work in, regardless of where you come from in the world, it is possible. And I guess for me, that kind of answers that question is like us against the world, like yeah, kind of, but I think it's like Perth versus the world. I'm not looking at like us as in just our gym, but I want to show people that, you know, even coming from smaller city like Perth, you can really make it. You can do spectacular things, and it is possible. So it just gives people like, especially the younger generation, like hope, that for a lot of other kids out there that might be, thinking that there's no hope or nothing they can do, is just want them to know that like the world is your oyster, and if you work hard enough at something, you can make it happen. And I think it's much harder from like coming from those circumstances where like from Perth or somewhere. Yes, I think it's harder to make it to the UFC being in Perth. I do think that. And the reason why is because in the States, I think it's just a bit more biased. In America, they get more Americans on because the sport is like home base is there. And then there's a lot of people doing MMA. There's like so many more gyms that are already doing MMA before Australia. We're a bit behind, but now we've caught right up. And yeah, they obviously, if they're looking on the regional scene, they're going to be looking mostly like in the States because it's easy, right? It's like someone's like just in California, they could just drive over to Las Vegas and get a fight, in the contender series or on a UFC card. It's not a big deal. For someone all the way in Perth, it's like, right, we got to book them 3 flights. It's going to cost this amount of money. It's going to do this and this, and so it's a lot. I think it is harder to get there being based in Perth, considering how small Perth is and stuff like that. But it is still possible, and that's what like Perth against the world. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it now. It's literally Perth against the world, and show people in Perth that like, yeah, you can do it. And yeah, we're just regular people like you guys, like everyone else. There's nothing spectacular about us, and we're not superior. We're all the same, and yeah, we're human beings at the end of the day, and we live, breathe, and bleed just like anyone else, So just that itself is more so how I feel right now, with being where I'm at.
You talk about wanting to show people from Perth that people from Perth can do it, and it's possible to make it. On the flip side, uh, the world's about to find out about Cody Haddon. You're making your UFC debut. What are you trying to show the world about Cody Haddon?
Just a skill set, man. 20 years of like busting my ass to acquire all these skills, and yeah, just show them that I can do it everywhere, that I can grapple. I've got good jujitsu, that I can wrestle, I can kickbox, I can box, you know, just show them I've got cardio, I can take a punch, I have a chin, I'm durable. Just the whole lot, man. Just a complete fighter. I just want to show them how much of a complete fighter I am, and that I can do it all. So that is the plan on the night.
Cody, I thank you so much for the time. Are you getting a chance to hang out in Vegas or in the US after this fight, or is it straight back home?
Unfortunately, my missus is not here with me, so I'm missing her dearly. So I'll head straight back home after this one and be able to hang out with her, and see my family and friends, and just enjoy this, not only this fight, but just even the win in the contender series, getting to where I am now. Like, just the whole thing, man, deserves celebration. It's fucking, when you've done something your whole life and then for it to turn into reality, it's fucking can't explain. Like, it makes me emotional just talking about it. So many times, like, you want to quit, you think that, like, fuck, am I wasting time? Like, I literally thought that, man, I might not even make it. Is like, when are these guys gonna have a look at me and actually give me a fucking chance? You know what I mean? And I was doing everything I could to my in my power, and my what I was in control of, I was doing. And it was just like, man, like, am I ever gonna? I don't want to be one of those guys who hits 30 and only now they're getting called up to the UFC. It's like, let me come show you what I can do. Like, just give me a chance. And then I was grateful as they gave me a chance, and then I seized that opportunity, and like, it's just like that needs to be celebrated. You know what I mean? And even now, where I'm at now, like, having the debut so soon, it's like, even that's crazy, and that needs to be celebrated. So I'm just excited, man. So yeah, I can't wait to go in there and do it, show everyone what I'm capable of.
What kept you going during those moments of doubt?
Once you're so deep in it, how could I give it up? Like, once you're so deep in it, I look back, and any time that I wanted to quit, it's like, are you gonna waste all of that work? Like, you started training at 6 years old. Are you just gonna waste it all? Like, are you gonna, your whole life has been to be, I literally dropped out of school to do this shit. Like, what are you gonna do now? Like, if I don't do it, I'm fucked. If I don't fight, I'm fucked. I don't have any education, nothing. This is literally all I have, so what would I do? I'd be fucked. So that kept me going, is because I literally don't have nothing else to do. And not only that, I'd feel so unworthy doing anything else. When fighting's the thing that makes me feel worthy, makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel proud about something. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be proud of anything. I wouldn't feel worthy. I'd be depressed. I'd be, you know what I mean? That it really does mean everything to me, and it's all I've ever done, and it's all I've ever known. It's all I ever want to do too. I wouldn't want to, like, I'm just grateful for that now. I can start getting paid properly to do this shit. Now I can actually say is like I'm getting paid to fight people. That's all I want. Is just be compensated for putting my body on the line. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for much. It's just give us a few dollars so that I can fucking live a happy life with have a good family and buy a house and do all the normal shit through fighting. That is my ultimate goal. Be able to provide for my family and stuff like that through fighting. That's all I want to do. It's yeah, I want to be able to say like, yeah, I did this from fighting, and all the people. There's a lot of people who doubted me, and a lot of people said, "Oh, well, do you have a backup plan? What about plan B?" There is no plan B. It's plan A all the way, and that's it. And if I fail, fucking hell, then that's going to be real sad, isn't it? That's it. There is no plan B. It is only plan A. So, it's always been like that for me. So these things have to be celebrated. You know what I mean? When it's come true, it just has to be. Okay. Otherwise, what the fuck's the point? Why are you doing it? If you don't celebrate and enjoy yourself, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, like fuck all the glory and fame and all that shit. It's like, who cares about that? It's like, be proud of yourself of what you've done, not what other people think or any of this. It's just having something that you feel proud about. That means the most, and like that makes it easier to sleep at night. You know what I mean? So yeah, super excited.
How will you celebrate once you're back home?
Bro, just eating and just spending time with friends, man. Like eat some good food and just I have a small circle of friends, a few people that I care about, and just literally just being able to spend more time with them and spend time with my family. Also, I don't get to see my family and friends that much back home because I'm always training and doing shit. Um, and especially in a fight camp, you don't really have time. And I feel like in life, relationships with people, will come to realize that I think that's the most important thing in life is really your relationships with other people. Like that literally like compared to everything else, it's like your relationship with others is like really, really important. And just being able to spend time around friends and joke and laugh and see my family and be able to spend time with them and same thing, joke and laugh and talk about things and share things. It's just basic stuff like that. Like, celebrating doesn't have to be going out getting fucked up, this and that. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, every now and then, like, yeah, I'm no saint, I don't mind going out and, having a good time, but I very rarely do that. Because as a fighter, you don't have time for that. So I mean, celebrating, I never think of celebrating like going and getting fucked up. It's like I don't associate it with that. It's more like yeah, just spending time with people I care about, eating good food, good company, man. That's for me, that's celebrating. So yeah.
Cody Haddon, best of luck in the fight. You have your country behind you. Thank you so much for the time and safe travels home.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.